The annual Sterling Industries charity auction was the kind of event Nora Bennett normally avoided. Too much glitter, too many powerful people, and far too much expensive champagne flowing freely. But her boss had insisted the entire marketing team attend, so here she stood in a borrowed black dress, clutching a glass of sparkling wine and trying to look like she belonged. The Metropolitan Grand Hotel ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers and golden accents. Women in designer gowns mingled with men in tailored tuxedos, their laughter echoing off the marble floors. Nora had been doing fine, actually enjoying the salmon appetizers and the live jazz quartet, until she saw him. Cameron Walsh. Her ex-boyfriend. Walking straight toward her with a blonde woman draped on his arm like expensive jewelry. Nora's stomach dropped. 3 months ago, Cameron had ended their 2-year relationship through a text message. An actual text message that read simply, "This isn't working. Moving on. Take care." Then he'd blocked her number before she could even respond. And now he was here, at her company event, looking smug and entirely too confident. "No, no, no," Nora whispered, frantically scanning for an escape route. But the crowd had thickened around her, trapping her near the auction display tables. Cameron's eyes locked onto hers. That familiar smirk appeared on his face, the one that used to make her feel small and insignificant. He changed direction, heading straight for her with purpose. Nora's brain went into panic mode. She couldn't face him. Not here. Not now. Not with that woman on his arm and that superior expression on his face. Her eyes landed on the nearest man, standing alone by a towering floral arrangement, checking his phone. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a perfectly fitted navy suit. She didn't think. She just acted. Nora grabbed the stranger by his silk tie and pulled him down, pressing her lips against his. For exactly 3 seconds, the world stopped. The stranger's lips were warm, tasting faintly of mint. He smelled like cedar and expensive cologne. And shockingly, instead of pushing her away, his hand settled firmly on her waist, and he kissed her back. Heat flooded through Nora's entire body. This wasn't supposed to feel like anything. This was just a desperate escape plan. But his mouth moved against hers with surprising confidence, and her knees actually went weak. "Nora." Cameron's voice shattered the moment like breaking glass. Nora jerked backward, blinking rapidly as reality crashed back. The stranger stared down at her with the most incredible green eyes she'd ever seen, one dark eyebrow raised in a mixture of surprise and amusement. His black hair was slightly mussed from where her fingers had tangled in it. His jaw was sharp enough to cut diamonds. "Are you engaged?" Cameron demanded, his voice rising above the background music. "What?" Nora's brain struggled to process the question. The stranger beside her spoke, his voice smooth and dangerously calm. "Engaged? That's quite an assumption." Nora followed Cameron's pointed stare to her left hand, where her grandmother's vintage emerald ring caught the chandelier light. She wore it on her ring finger simply because it didn't fit anywhere else. Pure, terrible coincidence. Yes, the word exploded from Nora's mouth before rational thought could intervene. She grabbed the stranger's arm possessively. "My fiancé. We're engaged." "Obviously." The stranger's lips twitched, fighting a smile. "Fascinating. Darling, remind me how long we've been engaged." Nora's mind raced. 3 months. Almost exactly 3 months. Cameron's face drained of color. The blonde woman looked bored, examining her manicured nails. "Cam, who even is this person?" "Someone from work," Cameron muttered, his confidence visibly deflating. "Nora, I had no idea you were seeing anyone." "Why would you?" Nora shrugged, channeling every ounce of satisfaction she possessed. "You sent me that touching text message about moving on and immediately blocked my number. Not exactly conducive to sharing life updates." The stranger beside her started shaking, and Nora realized with horror he was trying not to laugh. She just dragged this poor man into her messy personal drama, and he found it hilarious. Right. Well. Congratulations, I suppose. Cameron tugged his date away quickly. Come on, Veronica. Let's find our table. The moment they disappeared into the crowd, Nora released the stranger's arm like it had burned her. I am so incredibly sorry. I don't know what possessed me to do that. That was completely insane. That was brilliant, he corrected, his smile breaking free. Reckless, potentially catastrophic, but absolutely brilliant. Please tell me you can forget this ever happened. Nora buried her face in her hands. Not a chance. That's the most entertaining thing that's happened all evening. He extended his hand formally. Owen Sterling. Every drop of blood drained from Nora's face. Sterling. Sterling. As in Sterling Industries. As in her company. As in the CEO. Her voice came out strangled. That would be me. He looked far too amused by her obvious panic. The ballroom tilted dangerously beneath Nora's heels. She just kissed and claimed to be engaged to Owen Sterling. The Owen Sterling. The man whose signature appeared on every company-wide email. The man who decided promotions, budgets, and company strategy. The man who was technically her boss's boss's boss. No, she whispered. This cannot be happening. This is a nightmare. Is the thought of being engaged to me truly that terrible? Owen asked, pretending to be wounded. I work for you. Well, not directly. I'm in marketing, 4th floor, but you're my employer, and this is a complete disaster, and I should probably just quit now before this gets worse. Nora Bennett, he interrupted smoothly. That's you, right? I heard him say your name. She nodded miserably, wanting the floor to swallow her whole. Well, Nora Bennett from marketing, Owen said, his expression shifting to something more serious. We have ourselves a rather significant situation. Just one, she croaked. Owen tilted his head slightly. Nora followed his gaze and felt her stomach plummet to her shoes. At least 40 people were staring at them. Openly. Including Cameron, several of her co-workers, and what appeared to be Sterling Industries' entire executive team. Several people had their phones out, clearly texting or taking photos. The gossip was probably already spreading through the company like wildfire. See that distinguished woman in the silver gown? Owen asked quietly, indicating an elegant older woman with perfectly styled white hair. That's Victoria Sterling. My mother. Notice how she's smiling and heading this direction. Why is that a bad thing? Nora asked, dreading the answer. Because she spent the last 6 months lecturing me about settling down and getting married. Apparently, a 34-year-old unmarried CEO looks unstable to potential business partners. The board agrees. It's been affecting some major deals. Before Nora could respond, Victoria Sterling materialized beside them, practically radiating excitement. Owen, she said warmly, her sharp eyes assessing Nora with obvious approval. Are you going to introduce me to your friend? Owen's eyes found Nora's. In that suspended moment, she saw the unspoken question hanging between them. The impossible proposition. The mutually beneficial escape hatch neither of them had anticipated. She should confess everything. Had to confess. This was insane. But then she caught sight of Cameron watching from across the room, smirking like he'd won something. And she thought about her condescending boss who never took her ideas seriously. About her mounting student loans. About how satisfying it would feel, just for one evening, to not be the girl who got dumped via text message. Mother, Owen said smoothly, his fingers threading through Nora's with surprising warmth. I'd like you to meet Nora Bennett. My fiancée. The Sterling Industries headquarters building gleamed in the Monday morning sunlight, all glass and steel and corporate ambition. Nora stood on the sidewalk outside, staring up at the 20-story structure like it might swallow her whole. Her phone buzzed for the 100th time. Her best friend Rachel had sent 17 messages overnight, each one more frantic than the last. Rachel, Nora Elizabeth Bennett. Rachel, you are engaged. Rachel, to Owen Sterling. Rachel, and you didn't tell me. Rachel, I'm coming to your apartment. Rachel, we need to talk about this. Nora had avoided Rachel all weekend by claiming food poisoning, which wasn't entirely false. She did feel sick, just from anxiety rather than actual illness. A new message appeared from Owen. Owen, good morning, fake fiancé. Ready for your first day of corporate theater? Despite everything, Nora smiled slightly. At least he had a sense of humor about their mutual insanity. Nora, define ready. Does existential terror count? Owen, perfect. Meet me in the lobby at 8:45. We should arrive together. Make it look authentic. Nora, you're really committed to this charade. Owen, 6 months, remember? Might as well do it properly. Besides, the board is already thrilled. My mother sent me a fruit basket. Nora, a fruit basket? How romantic. Owen, I'm keeping the pineapple. Everything else is negotiable. Nora found herself laughing despite her nerves. Maybe this wouldn't be a complete catastrophe. By 8:43, she stood in a marble lobby, smoothing her gray blazer for the 1,000th time. She'd chosen her most professional outfit, structured and polished, hoping it would make her feel less like a fraud. Deep breaths, she muttered to herself. You've got this. Just a normal Monday where everyone thinks you're engaged to the CEO. Totally normal. Talking to yourself already? That's concerning. Owen's voice came from behind her. Nora spun around to find him approaching, looking unfairly composed in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. His dark hair was perfectly styled, his expression calm and amused. Easy for you to be relaxed, Nora hissed. You're not about to face an entire building of co-workers who think you somehow seduced the boss. Owen's eyes sparkled with mischief. Technically, you did seduce me with that surprise kiss. I was trying to escape my ex. And now you're stuck with a fake fiancé. Life works in mysterious ways. He offered his arm. Shall we? Nora hesitated, then looped her arm through his. His cologne hit her immediately, that same cedar scent from Friday night. It was distractingly pleasant. Quick ground rules, Owen said quietly as they crossed toward the elevators. We met 6 months ago at a charity event. You spilled coffee on my jacket. We started talking. I asked you out. Very traditional, very boring, very believable. 6 months ago, I was crying over Cameron and eating ice cream for dinner, Nora muttered. Well, in our version, you were charming and delightful, and I was instantly smitten. Owen pressed the elevator button. Also, we're keeping the engagement short. Planning a small ceremony for later this year. Nothing extravagant because we're both private people who value intimacy over spectacle. You've really thought this through. I spent the entire weekend creating our backstory. The elevator doors opened, revealing 2 people from accounting. Their conversation died instantly when they spotted Nora and Owen together. Morning, Owen said smoothly, guiding Nora inside. Good morning, Mr. Sterling, one woman stammered, her eyes bouncing between them like a tennis match. The ride up was excruciating. Nora could feel the weight of their stares, the unasked questions practically vibrating in the air. When the doors finally opened on the 4th floor, she nearly sprinted out. That was awful, she whispered. That was nothing, Owen corrected. Wait until you get to your department. He wasn't wrong. The moment Nora stepped into the marketing floor, every single head swiveled in her direction. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Someone actually dropped their coffee mug, and it shattered on the floor. Nora. Her co-worker Jessica practically materialized beside her, eyes wide with barely contained excitement. Is it true? You and Mr. Sterling? Before Nora could formulate a response, Owen's hand settled warmly on the small of her back. It's true, he said, his voice carrying across the suddenly silent floor. Though I'd appreciate it if everyone could give my fiancée some space. She's still adjusting to the attention. Fiancé. Hearing him say it out loud made it feel terrifyingly real. Jessica looked like she might faint. This is so romantic. How did you even meet? Coffee incident at a charity event, Nora managed, sticking to their script. Very clumsy on my part. Very endearing, Owen added, squeezing her waist gently. The gesture looked affectionate but felt like a reminder, we're in this together, don't panic. I should let you get to work, Owen said, turning to face her. Then, before Nora could process what was happening, he leaned down and kissed her forehead. Soft, brief, but entirely too convincing. Her brain short-circuited. See you at lunch, he murmured, just loud enough for their audience. Lunch. Right. Yes. Nora's vocabulary had apparently abandoned her. Owen's smile was pure wickedness as he walked away, leaving her standing in the middle of the floor with what felt like 100 pairs of eyes still watching. Nora Bennett, Jessica breathed. You have to tell me everything. Nora made it exactly 47 minutes before being summoned to her manager's office. Richard Palmer was a perpetually irritated man in his mid-50s who treated the marketing department like his personal kingdom. He dismissed Nora's ideas in meetings countless times, often presenting them as his own weeks later. She knocked on his open door, dread pooling in her stomach. Bennett. Sit. Richard didn't look up from his computer. Nora perched on the edge of the chair across from his desk, hands clasped tightly in her lap. So, Richard finally swiveled to face her, his expression unreadable. Owen Sterling. Yes, sir. You're engaged to the CEO of this company. Yes, sir. Richard leaned back in his chair, studying her with an intensity that made her skin crawl. That's quite a development. It is, Nora said carefully, unsure where this was heading. I trust this relationship won't affect your work performance or create any conflicts of interest. Of course not, sir. I'm committed to my job and maintaining professional standards. Richard's eyes narrowed slightly. Good. Because I'd hate to think you were using this relationship to gain unfair advantages or special treatment. The implication stung like a slap. Before Nora could respond, her phone buzzed. She glanced down instinctively. Owen, how's your morning going? Another message followed immediately. Owen, if Palmer is giving you trouble, let me know. I can have a word with him. Nora's fingers trembled slightly as she typed back. Nora, I can handle it. But thank you. She looked up to find Richard watching her phone with obvious suspicion. Is that Mr. Sterling? He asked, his tone carefully neutral. Yes. He was just checking in. How nice. Richard's smile didn't reach his eyes. Well, I won't keep you. I'm sure you have work to do. Nora stood, recognizing a dismissal when she heard one. As she reached the door, Richard spoke again. Bennett? Congratulations on your engagement. I hope it works out. The words sounded pleasant enough, but something in his tone made Nora's spine stiffen. She nodded and escaped to her cubicle, her heart pounding. The rest of the morning passed in a blur of curious stares and whispered conversations. By lunchtime, Nora was exhausted from maintaining a cheerful facade. Her phone buzzed again. Owen, rooftop terrace. 15 minutes. I'm bringing food. Nora had never been to the rooftop terrace. She didn't even know Sterling Industries had one. But when she stepped out of the elevator on the 20th floor and followed the signs, she discovered a beautiful outdoor space with gardens, seating areas, and a spectacular view of the city skyline. Owen sat at a small table in the corner, two takeout containers in front of him. He'd removed his suit jacket and loosened his tie, looking more relaxed than she'd seen him. "This place is amazing," Nora said, sinking into the chair across from him. "I didn't know it existed." "Executive perk. But you're my fiancé now, so you have access." He pushed one container toward her. "Thai food. I didn't know what you liked, so I got the curry. It's mild. You didn't have to do this." "Yes, I did. First day of being fake engaged is rough. Trust me, I know. I've been fielding congratulations all morning." Owen opened his own container. "How bad was Palmer?" Nora blinked in surprise. "How did you know I met with Palmer?" "I know everything that happens in this building. It's part of the job." Owen's expression darkened slightly. "What did he say?" "Just the usual veiled accusations about conflicts of interest and unfair advantages." Nora stabbed at her curry with more force than necessary. "He's probably worried I'll use our relationship to undermine him. Would you like to?" Nora looked up sharply. Owen was watching her with genuine curiosity, no judgment in his eyes. "What do you mean?" "Palmer's been on thin ice for months. His department consistently underperforms, he takes credit for other people's work, and HR has received multiple complaints about his management style." Owen leaned back in his chair. "If you wanted to file a formal complaint, you'd have my full support." "I can't do that. Everyone would think I'm using you." "Everyone already thinks you're using me," Owen pointed out gently. "Might as well get something real out of this arrangement." Nora set down her fork, studying him carefully. "Why are you being so nice to me? This whole situation benefits you more than it benefits me." "Does it?" Owen met her gaze steadily. "You get career protection, access to opportunities you wouldn't normally have, and freedom from your ex's harassment. I get to pretend I'm stable and settled for 6 months. Seems fairly balanced to me." "When you put it that way." They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes, the city noise a distant hum below them. "Can I ask you something?" Nora said finally. "Of course. Why aren't you actually engaged? Or married? You're successful, attractive, presumably not a serial killer." She paused. "You're not a serial killer, right?" Owen laughed, a genuine sound that transformed his entire face. "Not as far as I know. And to answer your question, I've been focused on building this company for the past decade. Relationships took a back seat. By the time I looked up, I was 34 and still single, and the board started getting concerned about optics." "That's sad." "Is it?" Owen tilted his head. "I built something I'm proud of. Not everyone needs a traditional path. But you want one eventually, right? A real relationship?" Owen was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know. Maybe. If I found someone who understood this life and didn't mind the chaos." He smiled slightly. "What about you? Before Cameron, did you imagine getting married?" "I used to," Nora admitted. "Classic white wedding, kids, a house with a garden. The whole fantasy. But after Cameron, I don't know anymore. Maybe I'm better off alone." "You're 27. You have plenty of time to figure it out. Says the man who's fake engaged to avoid his mother's matchmaking." Owen raised his water bottle in a mock toast. "Fair point." Nora's phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. "Jessica, where are you? Palmer is looking for you and he seems pissed." Nora showed Owen the message. His expression hardened immediately. "Go back to work," he said. "If Palmer gives you any more trouble, come find me." "I mean it, Nora. You're not in this alone." As Nora rode the elevator back down to the 4th floor, she realized something surprising. For the first time in 3 months, since Cameron had sent that devastating text message, she didn't feel small or insignificant. She felt protected. Valued. Seen. Even if it was all pretend, it felt good. The afternoon brought more complications. Palmer assigned her to lead a major campaign presentation scheduled for Friday, clearly testing whether she could perform under pressure. Jessica peppered her with questions about wedding plans. And Cameron somehow got her new phone number and sent a text that simply read, "We should talk." By the time 5 o'clock arrived, Nora was ready to collapse. She was packing up her desk when Owen appeared beside her cubicle, looking entirely too fresh for someone who'd worked a full day. "Ready to go?" he asked. "Go where?" "Home. We should leave together. Maintain appearances." He lowered his voice. "Plus, I thought we could grab dinner and work out more details of our arrangement. We need to synchronize our stories before Friday's company mixer." "There's a company mixer on Friday?" "Quarterly tradition. Everyone will expect us to attend together." Owen held out his hand. "Come on, fake fiancé. Let's go be convincing." As Nora took his hand and let him guide her through the office, past all the staring coworkers and whispered gossip, she couldn't shake the feeling that she'd jumped off a very tall building. The real question was whether there would be anything to catch her at the bottom, or if she'd just keep falling until this whole charade came crashing down. 3 weeks into their fake engagement, Nora had almost gotten used to the charade. Almost. She'd learned Owen's coffee order by heart, black with 1 sugar. She knew he had a habit of running his hand through his hair when stressed, that he hated small talk but loved discussing books, and that despite his serious CEO exterior, he had a wicked sense of humor that caught her off guard. They'd fallen into an easy rhythm. Lunch on the rooftop terrace 3 times a week. Coordinated arrivals and departures. Text messages throughout the day that started as strategic planning but gradually became something more personal. "Owen, board meeting from hell. Save me." "Nora, tell them you have a fiancé emergency. Very urgent. Life or death." "Owen, what's the emergency?" "Nora, I desperately need you to stop being bored." "Owen, you're ridiculous." "Nora, you're smiling though. I can tell." The Friday company mixer arrived faster than Nora anticipated. She stood in front of her closet, staring at her limited options with growing panic. Her phone rang. Rachel's face filled the screen, and Nora reluctantly answered. "You've been avoiding me for 3 weeks, Rachel said without preamble. "I'm hurt. I'm your best friend, and I had to learn about your engagement from Instagram. It's complicated. Nora Elizabeth Bennett, you tell me right now what's going on, or I'm showing up at your apartment with wine and refusing to leave." Nora collapsed onto her bed with a sigh. "Okay. But you have to promise not to judge me. I always judge you. It's part of my charm. The engagement is fake." Silence. Then Rachel's voice, carefully controlled. "Come again." Nora explained everything. The charity auction, Cameron's appearance, the impulsive kiss, the fake engagement proposal. By the time she finished, Rachel was laughing so hard she could barely breathe. "This is the most insane thing you've ever done," Rachel gasped. "And I was there when you tried to dye your hair purple in college and it turned green. I know it's crazy." "Crazy? Nora, this is spectacular. You're living a romance novel." Rachel's tone shifted to something more serious. "But be careful. Fake relationships have a way of becoming real, and when they fall apart, people get hurt. It's not like that with Owen. We're just helping each other out." "Sure. Keep telling yourself that." An hour later, Nora stood in the hotel ballroom where the company mixer was being held, wearing a blue dress Rachel had insisted she buy. Owen materialized beside her, looking devastating in a dark suit. "You look beautiful," he said, and something in his voice made her cheeks warm. "You clean up pretty well yourself." Owen offered his arm. "Ready to face the masses?" The evening passed in a blur of introductions and small talk. Owen's mother cornered them near the dessert table, her sharp eyes assessing them with obvious delight. You two make such a lovely couple, Victoria said warmly. Owen seems happier than I've seen him in years. Mother, Owen warned, but he was smiling. I'm just saying, Nora is clearly good for you. Victoria patted Nora's hand. I hope you'll join us for family dinner next Sunday. I'd love to get to know you better. After she left, Nora turned to Owen with wide eyes. Family dinner. We can handle it, Owen assured her. My sister will love you. My father mostly grunts and reads the newspaper. It'll be fine. But it wasn't fine. Because across the ballroom, Nora spotted Cameron watching them with an expression that made her stomach drop. He'd been transferred to Sterling Industries 2 weeks ago, a fact that had sent her into a panic spiral when she'd learned. He's coming over, Nora whispered. Owen followed her gaze and his expression hardened. Let him. Cameron approached with false confidence, a champagne glass in hand. Nora. Sterling. Quite the party. Walsh, Owen said coolly. I heard you transferred from the Denver office. Fresh start and all that. Cameron's eyes fixed on Nora. I was hoping we could talk. Clear the air about some things. There's nothing to clear, Nora said firmly. We're done, Cameron. We have been for months. Are you sure about that? Because this whole engagement thing seems pretty convenient. Cameron's smile turned nasty. Showing up right after I dumped you, getting involved with the CEO. Some might say you were just trying to make me jealous. Owen stepped forward, his voice dropping to something dangerous. Some might say you're bitter because she's moved on and you can't handle it. I suggest you walk away before this conversation becomes a problem for your employment. Cameron's face flushed red. You're threatening me. I'm advising you. There's a difference. Owen's hand found Nora's, threading their fingers together. Now, if you'll excuse us, I'd like to dance with my fiancé. Owen led Nora onto the dance floor, pulling her close as a slow song began. She could feel her heart racing, could see people watching them with obvious interest. Thank you, she whispered. For handling that. Always. Owen's hand settled on the small of her back, warm through the thin fabric of her dress. Are you okay? I will be. Nora looked up at him, struck by how close they were, how natural this felt. Can I tell you something? Anything. This fake relationship is the healthiest relationship I've ever had. How messed up is that? Owen's expression softened. It's not messed up. It means you've been settling for people who didn't value you properly. And you value me? More than I probably should, considering this is supposed to be temporary. The words hung between them, loaded with meaning neither of them was quite ready to acknowledge. Nora's breath caught as Owen's thumb traced small circles on her back, an unconscious gesture that sent shivers down her spine. Owen, she started, but the music ended and the moment shattered. Over the next 2 weeks, something shifted between them. The touches lingered longer. The text messages became more frequent and more personal. Owen started bringing her favorite coffee without being asked. Nora found herself thinking about him at random moments throughout the day. The family dinner was surprisingly easy. Owen's sister Emma was warm and funny, immediately pulling Nora aside to share embarrassing childhood stories. His father was gruff but kind. Victoria watched them throughout the meal with obvious satisfaction. She thinks we're perfect together, Nora said later as Owen drove her home. Maybe we are. Owen's voice was quiet. Nora turned to look at him. What? This arrangement. It works because we're honest with each other. We communicate. We support each other's goals. Owen pulled up outside her apartment building. That's more than most real relationships have. But it's not real. Isn't it? Owen turned to face her fully. Nora, somewhere in the last month, this stopped being fake for me. I look forward to seeing you every day. I think about you constantly. I care about what happens to you. Nora's heart hammered in her chest. Owen, we agreed this was temporary. 6 months and then we walk away. Screw the agreement. Owen reached out, cupping her face gently. Tell me you don't feel it too. Tell me this is still just pretend, and I'll back off. But if there's even a chance you feel the same way. I do, Nora whispered. Feel the same way. But I'm terrified. Of what? Of this being real and losing it. Of getting hurt again. Of Cameron being right, that this was just some rebound fantasy. This isn't a rebound, Owen said firmly. This is me falling for an incredible woman who makes me laugh and challenges me and sees past the CEO title to the actual person underneath. If that scares you, I understand. But I'm not Cameron. I'm not going to disappear or send you a text message ending. Nora felt tears prick her eyes. What are we doing? I don't know. But I'd like to find out. Owen leaned closer. Can I kiss you? For real this time? Instead of answering, Nora closed the distance between them, pressing her lips to his. This kiss was nothing like the impulsive one at the charity auction. This was slow and deep and full of all the feelings they'd been dancing around for weeks. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Owen rested his forehead against hers. So, he said, a smile in his voice. Should we tell people the engagement is real now? Nora laughed, the sound shaky but genuine. Let's just see where this goes. No more fake timeline. No more pretending. Just us. Just us. 6 months later, Nora stood in the same hotel ballroom where their story had begun, except this time she wore an actual engagement ring that Owen had presented during a private dinner on the rooftop terrace. The company summer gala was in full swing, and she'd just finished giving a presentation on the marketing campaign she'd led, a campaign that had exceeded all expectations. Palmer had been quietly transferred to a different department. Cameron had left the company entirely. And Nora had been promoted to senior marketing strategist, a promotion she'd earned through hard work and talent, not through her relationship with Owen. There you are, Owen said, sliding his arm around her waist. You were brilliant up there. I had a good teacher, Nora teased. Someone who believes in me. Always. Owen kissed her temple. Ready to go? I have reservations at that new restaurant you wanted to try. Perfect. Nora laced her fingers through his. Although I should warn you, Rachel wants to plan the actual wedding now. She has binders. Multiple binders. Owen laughed. Tell her to go wild. As long as I get to marry you at the end of it, she can plan whatever she wants. As they walked out of the ballroom hand in hand, Nora thought about that chaotic night 6 months ago when she'd impulsively kissed a stranger to avoid her ex. She'd never imagined that moment of panic would lead to the most honest, real relationship of her life. Sometimes the best things happen when you stopped planning and just took a leap of faith. Sometimes the person you least expected turned out to be exactly what you needed. And sometimes, fake engagements became real love stories.